Guys, there have been updates on US exposing names of those sponsoring terrorism in Nigeria. But before we get into that video, take a look at this heated moment when this guy who is believed to be from Plateau State, dared Gumi in a very hard way without any fear. Just take a look at this video. Then we'll be going into the video where, discussions are ongoing on the list that the US has exposed, concerning those helping these bandits and terrorists in Nigeria. Just take a look at these videos.
Quickly, maybe you'd like to react to some of the things that have been said, but my question to you also is, where have we been getting it wrong as a nation? Why are we still having this conversation even after many years and several efforts?
One of the key reasons why we are getting it wrong is because of people like Sheikh Mahmoud Gumi. In a clear case of a war, because he's talking about bloodshed, there has been bloodshed. Nigeria has been a theater of war for almost 2 decades. Possibly it is not affecting him directly because most of the casualties, most of the mass murders is that of Christians. He appears to be a negotiator, but to be very honest with you, he has advocated more for appeasing the terrorists rather than advocating justice for the victims. And I think it's important to us because I believe he's an Islamic cleric. He understands the concept of justice. How do you deal with a scenario of people raping women, people killing soldiers, people decimating homes, people sacking communities, but then the strength of your advocacy is that the government should appease them? Where in the whole world, in the history of any war, whether guerrilla warfare, whether military warfare, have you ever found a situation where there is an active bloodshed going on and then you believe that appeasing the criminals that are carrying out these genocidal attacks and infusing them into the military will help? From the very beginning, when the notion of amnesty, de-radicalization and integration began, we have never seen a scenario where these repentant terrorists, as they call them repentant, have ever led people to their camps and they were decimated. They have been growing exponentially. They have been acquiring more arms. So that is basically the problem we are having. We are getting it wrong simply because we have managed to create a false narrative. An example is we have managed to compartmentalize terrorism or these Islamist activities to look as if it is only Boko Haram that is doing it. The reason is because the rest of the terrorist groups that are jihadist in nature have been forged into different names. For instance, he's talking about two fighting. There is no two fighting anywhere. It is important also, we would love it if you are able to have an example of one Christian militia that is operational in either Sokoto or any of the Muslim dominant state that have been raping women and killing people, then we can understand that. And at least the Muslims will equally lend their voice and say, okay, whatever it is the Americans are claiming that the Christians are suffering from, we are also suffering from it. And since it is all about eradicating terrorism, then good, come and eradicate them. But I think the problem is not just because there are foot soldiers who are killing people. It is because there are people who are sympathetic to the jihadist cause, there are people who are sponsoring them, and the involvement of any foreign nation in a scenario where there is a genocide does not end with the foot soldiers. It traces those who are sympathetic to their cause, whether because of political or religious or ideological beliefs. It equally traces those who sponsor them. And I think that is primarily where the problem lies in Nigeria. We are not sincere with the war against terrorism. Once it involves, because wherever you go to, we can't force ourselves. Most of the time, you find a lot of Muslims claiming that these people, they are not truly representing Islam and all of that, blah, 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 and all of that. But the truth is that there is an Islamist, well-armed Islamist jihadist group that has been massacring Christians. And what we find, unfortunately, people who should be speaking or condemning this act are busy trying as much as possible to create sympathy for them. You can imagine him saying that killing the terrorists will now amount to genocide. Then what would you tell the people that have been buried there? For instance, just of late in Yelewata, over 250 people were killed. But he describes that not as a genocide. He says two fighting, even though we don't know of.
All right, Zari Yusuf. I mean, we are really trying to manage time, and I know you have a lot to say. But let me bring the conversation back to Sheikh Gumi. Sheikh Gumi.
So today we want to discuss the sponsors of terror in Nigeria. We have seen this list time after time. And for the opt-in time, we have been shown the list of terror sponsors in Nigeria. A few years ago, we saw a list that emanated from the United Arab Emirates. And the government of that time did nothing about it. This list has now been calibrated and circulated by United States. And this time around, based on the current scuffle between the US and Nigerian government about the truism of Christian genocide in Nigeria, it looks like the government of Nigeria is ready to do the needful. And this is what we're going to discuss. Let me show you the names, that are, that were, being, recalibrated on internet. I'm going to share my screen so that you can see these names. So I don't know whether you can see can you see my screen, gentlemen?
Yeah.
Okay. So if you look, you see names. These are the names that have been bandied about. You have Abdurrahman Musa Ado. These are the financiers of terror. Although some of them have denied this, some of them have said no, they are not. They have so. But these are the names that we have on the internet. So and we also have Bashir Ali Yusuf. We have Ibrahim Ali Al Hassan. We have Saliu Yusuf Adamu. We have Surajo Abubakar Muhammad. And some of these politicians that have been named are Ali Modu Sharif, who used to be a governor in Borno State, a one-time governor. There's also Bello Matawale, who was a former governor, I think, of Zamfara State, and I think is now a minister. I'm not very sure. There's also Issa Ali Pantami, who was Buhari's former minister for, I think, communication. I'm not very sure. So, and you can see these are the named people who are named, to be sponsors of terror in Nigeria. And we are going to be discussing these people. So first of all, let me start with you. Let me start with you, Shukwa. This list that we've seen time after time after time, why are these people not being brought to justice? Why is there no conviction? Why have they not been convicted? Are they so powerful? Are they so untouchable? Or what do you think the problem is? Because Buhari government did nothing. We have Tinubu government the last 2 years. It doesn't look like anything is happening, and it doesn't look like anything is going to happen soon. So are they bigger than the state, these people? Shuko.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think to date, we can all agree that, apart from, the couple of people that have been, taken through some tribunals, largely no, supposed supporter of financier of terrorism has actually, been arrested or prosecuted really in Nigeria, and that plays largely to the sentiment that the government is being too soft. I mean, terrorism is not something that you can negotiate, with. You either deal with it very ruthlessly, or they would have the upper hand. Unfortunately, I mean, someone, for example, like Sheikh Ahmed Gumi, who was actually deported the last time, he tried to go to perform Hajj in Saudi Arabia. You would think that, Nigerian security operatives will investigate, the reasons why he was deported. And if it's for any reason related to terrorism, which, from his previous rhetoric wouldn't be a surprise, why he's not been arrested. And we have these people just walking freely, some even, parading the corridors of power with absolute impunity. So I can understand why Nigerians are so frustrated. And, it seems that, nobody has been, at least nobody, from even some of the rumors that have been circulating, has been prosecuted. And I would say finally, it also seems to me that if the UAE can go as far as jailing someone, I think some of the people that they jailed were jailed for life, actually. And The only thing that Nigeria has done so far is to, supposedly rehabilitate, terrorists and even put them back into the army. I think the government needs to act very, very differently. They need to prosecute these people. They need to investigate, obviously, and prosecute them if there's any evidence to show that they're actually either supporting terrorists or, financing them. And it needs to be done very quickly.
Thank you very much. Look at somebody like Sheikh Gumi. This is the man who openly speaks nicely about terrorists. He goes into their jungle, he mixes with them, he negotiates with them, he talks to them, and nothing has happened. He's openly, giving them support. And there are others like him like that. So I don't understand. Is it that the government is afraid of these people? Or is it that there's something they know that we don't?
Yeah, thank you for that question, David. The problem is the owners of Nigeria, they are behind the problem we are facing in the country. That is what makes the bandits, the intermediary between bandits and the government untouchable, right? People like this Gumi, remember they are the bandits, and at a certain point in Nigeria, you remember that the federal government were founding them, right? They are founding them in the sense that they will be demanding for more ransom, and the federal government will be meeting them at the town hall meeting. I remember General Dambazo giving them they will be demanding for billions of dollars to stop the abduction and the killing going down in the northeast. But they were giving them billions of naira, right? So as a result, they believe that well, whatever we do, we have it. At a certain point in time, one of the generals in Nigeria saying that if you kill one bandit, you are killing the northerners, right? So that is what made them untouchable. They sentenced Saliu Yusuf Adamu. No, between 2015 and 2016, they repatriated 782,000 US dollars from Dubai to Boko Haram, right? And they jailed those people who were caught. They were jailed by the United Arab Emirates. They gave Suraju Abubakar Hassan, they gave him life imprisonment. They gave Saliu Yusuf Adamu, they gave him life imprisonment. Right. The least jail time they gave them was 25 years. Among all these six people they mentioned. But all those people caught in Nigeria, they send their names to the federal government. Right? They didn't do anything to them. So one of the directors, former assistant director of the central bank, who mentioned their who was trying to mention their name, he was killed. So those people, they are the owners of Nigeria. You have governors, you have ministers, you have senators, everybody among them, they are all involved. So if you catch any of them, they want to mention him. So as a result, they don't want them to mention him. That is why they were so powerful, right? They were made ministers. Okay? So that is what made them to be untouchable.
Thank you. Thank you, Latan. Demola, look at somebody like Alimodu Sharif. This man had been said severally that he created Boko Haram while he was governor. It's a kind of team, killer squad around himself, And this Boko Haram, and this now kind of killer squad now metamorphosed into Boko Haram, and now it's now become this Frankenstein that nobody could now control. And this man is still working free. He's still working free. So do you think there are untouchables in Nigeria? And what does the government needs to do?
Thank you, Deji. There are untouchables in Nigeria, we know that, and there's no doubt about that. We are used to it because apart from issue of terrorism, all the fraudsters that all the people that are laundering money that are convicted abroad, it's easy for all these people, all Nigerian politicians, to be convicted abroad than to be convicted in Nigeria. Even when they are convicted abroad and they get back home, we celebrate them. We didn't come them to account, and we do nothing about it. All are because of tribal sentiment. Late President Muhammadu Buhari was a culprit in this. He endured and tolerated the Fulanis to a great extent to do whatever they like. And they were getting away with murder, with laxity at every angle. This, even though he inherited the problem of terrorism or all this banditry, but it escalated to a level that it seems we don't have any government. All this ransom taking are escalated and very much pronounced during his reign, during his regime. All the Fulanis, they do anything, we all we cry out, he will do nothing about it. He created, make them a sacred cow that nothing can happen. And that is why I don't blame the community for saying that it's a state-sponsored genocide and terrorism. Because if this type of thing is going because of your ethnic background or ethnic group, you fail to do nothing about it, then you are complicit. You are actually guilty of all those acts. These people who are convicted in Saudi Arabia, you know them and they are seen in your community, you do nothing about it. Of recent, and this is where I'm surprised, even though with the present government as well, for Gumi to be deported from Saudi Arabia because of terrorist threat, because that is the reason why they give him that, because he's somebody of terrorist character that they don't want to see in their country. And the federal government doesn't do anything, they don't query it, they don't question him. And this is a man that is saying he's liaising with terrorists, negotiating with them, and asking the government not to use leather force, and negotiating with ransom, giving them ransom, and then they recouping themselves and continue to create mayhem all over Nigeria. With this development, I expect the president and the federal government of Nigeria to stop all this sacred cow. Nobody in Nigeria should be carrying arms. They carry arms blatantly without any recourse, and which is never done in the South. It's not tolerated in the South. All these people, even when they don't have even one single katu, they go about with AK-47.
Okay. Let me pause you there, Timola. So because of time, so I'm going to come back to you, but Shupo, I'm just wondering. Several times I've sat down, I have thought about this thoroughly. I've added it together, I've divided it, I've multiplied it, I've subtracted it, and I can't just fathom what could be the agenda of these individuals. Why will anybody want to destabilize your own country? Chupo, what do you think is their motive?
Right, thank you very much. So if you look at banditry in Nigeria and terrorism, it seems to be fueled mostly by people from a particular ethnic background. And the reason why it seems that nothing is being done, even if we look back at the last administration before the current one, there seems to be more tribal loyalty than national loyalty. So in other words, the rest of other tribes or other parts of the country can be burning, as long as supposedly they seem that they're fine. And that is something that is going to be very problematic if Nigeria is going to remain a country, because for that country, to be able to achieve its goals and to be able to have good governance, we need to be able to do things above religious or ethnic sentiments. So, if somebody of, your tribe goes against the law, they should be able to get prosecuted, in accordance with the law and get the right punishment. Those are things that should live beyond religious or ethnic, feelings. But the reality in Nigeria today is that you will see that the type of justice you get, sometimes depends on, which religious body you belong to, or which ethnic background you're from. I mean, this same Sheikh Gumi that we're talking about at some time was quoted as saying, he didn't like the idea of non-Muslim soldiers being sent supposedly to kill Muslim bandits. So, everything is just has come down to ethnic or religious, bigotry. And that quite honestly needs to stop. If I kind of go back again, in Nigeria to date, the only convictions for terrorist-related activities happened in July 2024, July 27, 2024. There was July 12, 2025, in which there was a counterterrorism center that announced 44 individuals of terrorism financing. Sentences were given ranging from about 10 to 30 years, but no names were released. We don't know who those people are. And that actually means throughout the Buhari administration, there were no convictions. So, the federal government needs to really step up and, do the needful, prosecute these people, take them all out, and prove to Nigerians that they actually are, doing things in accordance with the law and will not tolerate any form of terrorism or terrorist, supporting activities.
Thank you very much. Lighton, we've several times we've had this rhetoric that we're going to dip the Quran in the Atlantic. And during the period where Buhari was there for 8 years, we constantly have this Fulani, Fulani terrorists trying to infiltrate into the South. I remember at the point, somebody like Sunday Igboho had to go to Igangan to go and checkmate them from there. So is this what is fueling this terrorism? Are they trying, is this a kind of jihad? Are they trying to conquer the South?
Thank you for the question. The basic aim of the Boko Haram is the Islamization of Nigeria. And it started in the Northeast by one Yusuf. And the Yusuf, when he wanted to be mentioning their names, when he was caught by the soldiers, he wanted to be mentioning names. This man was the governor then, the vice president. I mean, the vice president was the governor. So when he wanted to be mentioning names, after catching him, they kill him in this. So followed by Sekam. Sekam now took it from there, right? Their intention, they launch Sharia in all the northern states. In many of the northern states, when they launch it, everybody will pack themselves in a vehicle. They will go from one state to another, launching it. It's also as if they are celebrating Christmas then. So Obasanjo was there. He was just looking. This is the terrible situation, and he needed terrible attention. But nobody say anything. When Jonathan came, Obasanjo was trying to contain it, was trying his best. But what fueled the killing and the stuff in the northern part of the country was the level of their education. 77.7% of the Northeast, right? They are stark illiterates. And you know the feudal system in the north, where their leader who dictates their throne for them, well, ask them to go and do something. They don't ask, they don't say, they don't look back. They just go there to go and they listen to the instructions of their leader. So when they asked them, that was the reason why they were ready to in the hands of their leaders. Whatever they say is the final, their leader. And their leaders, they wanted to disrupt the country. They wanted Sharia in the whole country, in the whole Nigeria. They want from Sokoto to Ibadan from Maiduguri to Lagos. Everywhere they want Sharia. They wanted Sharia. So that was what fueled the problem. And as a result, you believe that they devastated the whole Northeast because of that. They started Boko Haram. And the Boko Haram, they don't want anybody to be speaking English. They don't want Western education.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
So as a result, all the farmers in the farm, they were killing them. All the people in the churches, they were killing them. All the people in the mosque, they were killing them. So as a result, there was death of food stuff from the normal. They agree there. They will always bring the food stuff from that area. So it was they burned their finger, so to say.
Thank you. Because of time, let's move very quickly. So, Demola, there's something that is not hard enough for me. So you have these terrorists, a ragtag team of individuals coming together against a well-trained, a well-armed Nigerian army with, with sophisticated training. So why is it taking 20 years to defeat herdsmen in the forest? Why is it taking 15 years to defeat Boko Haram? Why are they able to get more members, conquer territories? Do you think there's a third column in the army? Do you think maybe some members of the armed forces are joining these people? Are they selling the arms to them? Are they giving them logistics? Are they giving them information? What do you think is going on?
I think we are missing a very important factor in the issue of terrorism in other parts of Nigeria. If you remember, when this thing started, the initiator of this terrorism they were not called Boko Haram then. They is established by a preacher. The preacher sincerely was not fighting, and it's not even going to arm agitation. It was a theological agitation about bad practices of Islam in the north. It was against the leadership, the elite in the north, in the way they are not taking care of the people. And the people were getting poorer and poorer, while the elites are getting richer, and which is against the tenets of Islam. That was his principle. That was his preaching. He wasn't looking for any conversion of anybody, but the true practice of Islam, which the people have already moved away from. And this was misinterpreted by the head of state then, our president then, Olusegun Obasanjo. Instead of addressing the issue, they were protecting the elites. The elites are the problem of the north. They are the one dictating who is in the army. They are determining who is the officer in the army. They are the one that are controlling the armed forces. They are the problem. It's the northern elites that are creating, but it's not the poor people. The poor people are just suffering because of the greediness and selfishness of the northern elites. It was even because, if not until when the man was killed, and a lot of his followers, more than 700 of his followers was killed, that they resorted to the use of arms in retaliation. And what did they not do? The not early farmers came into Arewa Consultative Forum, not to protect the people again, but to protect the interests of the elites. And when these things even affecting the farmers, they created the Mayatiala to protect the Fulani people that are going about with AK-47 and under the guise of herdsmen. They were protecting them as well. So it's northern elites that are the problem of Nigeria, the north. It's not the ordinary people of the north. The ordinary people are the ones suffering about this.
Okay.
If the sheikhs, all the malams, all these and the politicians and the ex-military generals and head of the state in the north, if they want this thing to stop today, it will stop.
And I would start this conversation by reading, going back to the tweet made, or the post on social media, that is, made by the United States President Donald Trump. I'll read just part of it. According to President Trump, he, in his words, has described the country, that's Nigeria, as a country of particular concern. He wrote quite a couple of things, which of course has ignited conversations around the safety of Christians. Now, this particular sect group. Now, the tweet goes this way: Christianity is facing an existential threat in Nigeria. Now, thousands of Christians are being killed. Radical Islamists are responsible for this mass slaughter. I am hereby making Nigeria a country of particular concern. Of course, this has ignited conversations around the genocide of the Christians, in the country. So I want to ask you, Sheikh, is this the true, for you, does this reflect the reality of Nigerians?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Dapo, for inviting me to the hot topic of the hour now. This allegation is false. It's a misrepresentation of reality, and I'm sorry to say it's also mischievous. A country.
Sorry, just to be clear on that, you said the allegation by the President of the United States is false and also a misrepresentation of reality.
And also mischievous.
And mischievous. Why is that?
Yeah. Because America knows about Nigeria probably more than what we know. They know everything. What is now the Boko Haram Commission by the government has proven that Americans used to ferry guns to Boko Haram. And recently, the retired Chief of Defense Staff said there is no way that international community is not involved in Boko Haram in the Eastern Theater, the Northeastern Theater, because for 15 years the army has been battling them. Let me tell you what happens. Boko Haram comes in jeeps and loaded with anti-aircraft gun. The anti-aircraft gun has a higher range and more destructive power than a machine gun. Our soldiers don't have that. They are fighting us with anti-aircraft. From a kilometer, they will devastate our post. So who is arming them? Who is arming them with these anti-aircraft guns? This is how they kill our soldiers. They are fed it to them. And now, in fact, the committee said they thought it's France, but now they have realized it is America by confession of Congress members. So what are they coming to tell us? These people, liars, They tell a lot of lies. This is how they did in Iraq, and this is how they did even in Gaza recently, fueling genocide, then coming to disturb Nigeria. Why Nigeria is different from all other places? Here, any small thing can trigger a real, true religious conflict and clash. Just you can imagine from the action, the polarization of Nigeria, whereby most of the Muslims were against this irresponsible statement from Trump, and a lot of Christians, especially in the social media, the young ones, they are supporting him. So we're having polarization. What more if bombs start dropping on Nigerians? You know, a small thing can trigger mayhem, the real one. So what we are trying to avoid, trying to pacify people, going in there. I myself in a committee in a committee during the last Kaduna State regime. We have a House of Kaduna family. It's composed of clerics from both sides. We go to southern Kaduna, see the destruction there, and see the fight there, trying to pacify, meeting with all of them, gathering them together, bringing peace to them. In fact, southern Kaduna now is peaceful. That's the hot spot. Plateau now is peaceful. Benue is peaceful. So why is Trump prognosing into?
Sorry, I'm sorry to interrupt you. You said that Plateau is peaceful, Benue is peaceful, but there have been records of attacks lately.
When last did you hear about an attack? When last?
So for you, according to you, it's those states are peaceful.
When last did you hear of an attack? When last? The government is working very well.
All right. Let me.
Kaduna, look, Kaduna Abuja Road used to be the den of kidnapping. Now you can go freely even in the night.
Anyway,
so things are improving. As things are improving now, this man will just come and try to steer a problem with us within Nigeria.
Anyway, for Plateau State, for instance, sorry to interrupt you. I mean, Riyom, there was an attack recently in Riyom. So, I mean, Yelwata, even though we know that it happened even recently that was in terms of weeks back, I mean, in Benue State. So, I mean, to say that these areas are peaceful, for some Nigerians, they might just feel that, this, of course, might not be, might be a bit out of place. But maybe I should just give you 30 seconds before I bring in my next guest. 30 seconds to respond.
Let us not be microscopic in our analysis of what is happening in Nigeria.
It's microscopic.
On the macro level. Things are getting better. The government is doing well to pacify all warring factions. What is happening in the Middle Belt is a clash between two clans. Those who claim to be residents and those who claim to be settlers. This is the clash between them, fighting over land. They are not fighting because of religion.
All right. Thank you so much.
Religion in it. You see, it widened the scope. And if it widened the scope, Nigerians, Muslims, and Christians started killing themselves. We don't achieve what we want to achieve.
All right, Sheikh Gumi, thank you so much. Let me bring into the conversation Zari Yusuf is the former coordinator of the Middle Belt Patriots. He joins virtually also. Zari, great, of course, having you. Your reaction to some of things that have been said, but I would also direct the same question to you, where, of course, Nigeria has been designated, according to President Trump, a country of particular concern, citing killings targeted at a particular faith. Does this reflect our reality?
Thank you very much for this opportunity. I'd say to you that indeed that reflects the reality in Nigeria. That is a welcome development, and that is not new or unexpected. It's something that is long overdue. To start off, I'd say to you, frankly, what appears to be mischievous in the word of the cleric would be the denial of a Christian genocide. As a matter of fact, I know you would likely have been taken aback when he said Benue is now peaceful, Plateau is peaceful, Southern Kaduna is peaceful. Of course, we understand the notion of peace is relative to a large extent. But going by the history of Nigeria, at least in the last 2 decades, we can very much draw a clear line between what is peaceful and what is not peaceful. You are dealing with a situation where, let me even start with a certain point. How did we get to the CPC list in the first place? It is simply because, it is not just because there are attacks on innocent people, innocent civilians who are armless, but it's simply because there is a certain attitude with which the government responds to these attacks. Throughout General Muhammadu Buhari's regime, especially when it was in Benue, there was hardly an attack where the presidency will not give a statement that looks like excusing, the attack, telling the people, cede your land so that, the Fulani would build ranches and all of that. The people have followed this pattern over, you can't argue with a pattern that has proven itself for about 2 decades. This is a clear case of an Islamist militia that is basically targeting Christian communities and sacking them. If it is a matter of land, is it only the Fulani people that have lived in other people's land in the Middle Belt? Do we not have Calabar people? Do we not have Yoruba people? Do we not have people from the south? Do we not have Igbos? Why is it only from one end? And if it is a battle over land, say crisis for instance, why is it only that one particular group is strictly composed of Muslims, they are sophisticatedly armed, and they are always killing the other groups who happen to just be agrarian people living their lives, and they just turn out to be Christians? So the idea of putting Nigeria on the CPC list reflects the truth of it. It is not as if somebody woke up in the morning and met a group of people living peacefully and then decided, let me bring in misunderstanding to them. Of course, he has been dismissive of the reality on ground, saying he doesn't want a scenario where Christians and Muslims will start killing each other. There is no such scenario. The only scenario we have are armed Islamic terrorists that have been killing Christians for almost 2 decades. So what exactly are we talking about? And what exactly are we afraid of being put on the CPC list? I remember the statement is that if the government will not take the responsibility of ending these killings, then of course the international community has a legal and a moral responsibility to step in. Wherever there is a genocide, you don't need the permission of the government of that country to end it.
All right.
It's just that
All right, Yusuf, we'll definitely come back to the conversation. We need to go on a quick break. When we return, we'll of course look at the country's approach to security situation in the country over the years and what seems to be missing out. Why does it appear at some point as if we're moving in circles? We'll talk more on that once we return. Stay with us, we'll be right back. Thanks for staying with us. It's still Politics HQ on News Central Television. I still have my guest with me, Sheikh Gumi, and also Zari Yusuf. Gentlemen, thank you for staying with me. Now, I'm coming back to you, Sheikh Gumi. Let's quickly look at our approach in tackling insecurity as a nation. This, of course, has been festering for quite some time. We've seen, and that's years, I'm talking about years, yeah. We've seen different approaches. You've also been very much, what I call it, involved, particularly when it comes to the issue of banditry and this terrorist. I mean, you've been consistent in a way, talking about dialogue, rehabilitation, and even amnesty for the repentant, terrorists, which I just want to put this to you and ask you, from your perspective and what you've seen and experienced, why does it appear that like we're moving in circles?
Before I get to that, what I can see clearly is why do you put the list of Christians killed without a corresponding list of Muslims killed? Muslims in the southern Kaduna or in Plateau are killed in the thousands. And it's not only the militias they are killing them, even the Air Force have bombarded and killed so many villagers like that. So why don't we have a list of that? Why don't we have the list of the Tudunbiri people that we have massacred during their celebrations? Why don't you put those who were slaughtered in the boss? Why don't you put the image of Major General Kali? so many cases. I think we Muslims, what we need to do now is to bring out to public the names of those who are killed and massacred in the southern, in the Middle Belt region. That is a mandatory for us now, so that the string of the information will not tilt against what is happening. It's two people fighting. It's a case of two-sided fight with both sides having casualty. To paint it as Muslims killing, I wonder if Muslims are killing Christians. I don't know if there will be any Christian left to be talking to you on the TV with the viciousness of
Sheikh Gumi. So I mean, you've established from your perspective also a pattern. But what have we been getting wrong? Why is it that we are still back to this same conversation of insecurity? You've been part of the process. I mean, you've been pretty much.
The situation is improving. The interference of America will only worsen it. This is what we are saying. But gradually, Nigerians are healing slowly and gradually.
So for you, you feel that the security situation. You feel the security situation in the country is improving.
Their precedents tells you that these are people who lie behind moral issues and attack people for their resources. We have seen that in Libya, we have seen that in Iraq, we have seen that even recently in attacking Iran over its peaceful nuclear. So what will they do with Nigerians too? And you see, this Republican Party, especially now that we have zealous evangelical Christians in power, they are anti-Muslims. They have an Islamophobia. And this is so evident. Look at the election in New York City, whereby a Muslim mayor, moderate Muslim, very eloquent, coming out, people want him, and Trump is also threatening that he will cut off funds from New York City just because he's a Muslim. With this Islamophobia, how can I accept Trump to come into this country? He's just coming here to fight Muslims. And so instead of fighting terrorists, the whole Islamic world, the Muslim will just turn against America, and it will be, Nigeria will be a theater of war. This is what we are trying to avoid.
Let's quickly bring this back home.
We are against American intervention. Let Chinese come. Let a Russian come and help us. But Americans, those liars,
let's quickly bring this home. Before I leave you, before I let you go and move to Zari, what's your position on the idea of rehabilitation and amnesty for repentant terrorists?
So if they repent, what do you want to do? To kill them? Jesus Christ, taught us that, you see, somebody repents. A prostitute came to him, they wanted to stone her because it's stoning and killing. And he said, go and sin no more. This is even Christianity. So what do you want us to do? Put them and that is what is called genocide. If they surrender, then we accept their surrender and rehabilitate them and make them useful Nigerians. If they want to fight in the army, it's even better. They want to fight those people who.
So you're saying it's okay for for repentant terrorists to fight in the army?
It's even better because they know the secret of the bandits.
But do you think that has helped us over the years? Because where I'm going to with this.
Better now. I was in Betukuri just about 1 year ago. It's better. Things are calm. Not like those days when soldiers were calling me crying during Jonathan's time. There's a great improvement in Maiduguri.
I mean,
I told you, Americans are arming Boko Haram with anti-aircraft guns. These same Americans, this same criminal country that wants to come and disturb Nigerians.
All right. Look, I'm still going to stay with you on this, please.
Do not allow these antichrist people to come into Nigeria here. I'm telling you, because we all suffer. Nobody will find it easy. So don't think they are coming here to save you. They're Christian. This man who is groping women and doing all that kind of thing, this man, a convicted felony, giving money to a prostitute so that she will keep quiet. This same man you tell me is fighting for Christians. Is that Christianity?
Sheikh Gumi, let me leave you for a moment, and let me, of course, bring in Zari Yusuf. Zari, quickly, maybe you'd like to react to some of the things that have been said, but my question to you also is, where have we been getting it wrong as a nation? Why are we still having this conversation even after many years and several efforts?
One of the key reasons why we are getting it wrong is because of people like Sheikh Mahmoud Gumi. In a clear case of a war, because he's talking about bloodshed. There has been bloodshed. Nigeria has been a theater of war for almost 2 decades. Possibly it is not affecting him directly because most of the casualties, most of the mass murders is that of Christians. He appears to be a negotiator, but to be very honest with you, he has advocated more for appeasing the terrorists rather than advocating justice for the victims. And I think it's important to us because I believe he's an Islamic cleric. He understands the concept of justice. How do you deal with a scenario of people raping women, people killing soldiers, people decimating homes, people sacking communities, but then the strength of your advocacy is that the government should appease them? Where in the whole world, in the history of any war, whether guerrilla warfare, whether military warfare, have you ever found a situation where there is an active bloodshed going on, and then you believe that appeasing the criminals that are carrying out these genocidal attacks and infusing them into the military will help? From the very beginning, when the notion of amnesty, de-radicalization, and integration began, we have never seen a scenario where these repentant terrorists, as they call them repentant, have ever led people to their camps and they were decimated. They have been growing exponentially. They have been acquiring more arms. So that is basically the problem we are having. We are getting it wrong simply because we have managed to create a false narrative. An example is we have managed to compartmentalize terrorism or these Islamist activities to look as if it is only Boko Haram that is doing it. The reason is because the rest of the terrorist groups that are jihadist in nature have been forged into different names. For instance, he's talking about two fighting. There is no two fighting anywhere. It is important also, we would love it if you are able to have an example of one Christian militia that is operational in either Sokoto or any of the Muslim dominant state that have been raping women and killing people, then we can understand that. And at least the Muslims will equally lend their voice and say, okay, whatever it is the Americans are claiming that the Christians are suffering from, we are also suffering from it. And since it is all about eradicating terrorism, then good, come and eradicate them. But I think the problem is not just because there are foot soldiers who are killing people. It is because there are people who are sympathetic to the jihadist cause, there are people who are sponsoring them, and the involvement of any foreign nation in a scenario where there is a genocide does not end with the foot soldiers. It traces those who are sympathetic to their cause, whether because of political or religious or ideological beliefs. It equally traces those who sponsor them. And I think that is primarily where the problem lies in Nigeria. We are not sincere with the war against terrorism. Once it involves, because wherever you go to, we can't force ourselves. Most of the time, you find a lot of Muslims claiming that these people, they are not truly representing Islam and all of that, blah, 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 and all of that. But the truth is that there is an Islamist, well-armed Islamist jihadist group that has been massacring Christians. And what we find, unfortunately, people who should be speaking or condemning this act are busy trying as much as possible to create sympathy for them. You can imagine him saying that killing the terrorists will now amount to genocide. Then what would you tell the people that have been burying there? For instance, just of late in Yelewata, over 250 people were killed. But he describes that not as a genocide. He says two fighting, even though we don't know of.
All right, Zari Yusuf. I mean, we are really trying to manage time, and I know you have a lot to say. But let me bring the conversation back to Sheikh Gumi. Sheikh Gumi, I mean, you might want to react to some of the things that have been said. But my question to you in particular is, at this point, what would be your advice for the president of Nigeria and the Nigerian government in terms of how best to handle this situation with the U.S.?
One thing I find with this youth usually is they try to demonize people. Just imagine I'm taking risk to see that I pacify these people that even government cannot fight, people that are armed by this same America. They are armed by this same America. Why are you not addressing that issue? I'm trying to pacify them to change their direction. Look, they are Nigerians. You should not fight Nigerians. You should not allow foreigners to use you. They want to destroy Nigeria. In fact, since 2025 or 2015, they are saying Nigeria will disintegrate. And look at this youth trying to demonize. Even as I'm trying to talk to you to show science into this, they think we are part of the problem. So you will continue to suffer if you think. And if you think Americans will come to help you, then you will cry blood. You don't know. You don't know the Americans. They are the ones even creating all this. ISIS, Al-Qaeda, and they all created it to cause confusion in Muslim land. But unfortunately, in Nigeria, we have a big population of Christians. So this is not a place to play with fire. This is not a place to play with fire. You can do that in Sudan and everything. It's all the same religion, the same tribe. But in Nigeria, it's different. So that's why we don't want this Yankee man to come here and ignite a fire on combustibles in Nigeria. That's what essence we're here. So I advise the government.
Maybe we should just get this also out of the way. Sheikh Gumi, just quickly. I mean, there have been mentions of... Sorry, please, sir. 1 minute. There have been mentions, please, hold on 1 minute. There have been, a lot of talks around a jihadist agenda. Do you think this is also the case?
This is Pentagon propaganda. Which jihadists? What are they trying to do? I've spoken with herdsmen. They are hardly Muslims. They don't pray. They smoke Indian hemp. What Islamic and these Boko Haram people? They are not even educated in religion at all. I'm telling you, they are aliens. Creation of the Pentagon. They are trying to destroy. In fact, since 9/11, they have been trying to cause commotion in Muslim majority states. But Nigeria is different because we have Christians. If it's only Muslims, we don't count our death. All our deaths are martyrs. So that's why we don't count our death. But we have Christians here. We don't want this mayhem.
All right, so quickly, Sheikh, in 30 seconds, what would be your advice for the Nigerian government? How do they handle the situation now?
That Trump should retract and withdraw his threat on Nigeria because it's infringing on our sovereignty and it's a contempt of our country. They should, and also, if he doesn't do that, then we have all rights to sever our relationship and change our direction, political direction, to other nations that are like China, Russia, or the BRICS. Nigeria should be bold enough to do that. I'm sure if it's China Abacha's time, or what you call it, Murtala, they will take this bold step. Now, America will not have the guts to to abuse a country like Nigeria.
All right, thank you so much, Sheikh Gumi. It's of course a great having you talk to us this evening. But before we go, Zari, your final thoughts, 30 seconds.
Said, frankly, if it was in the days of Sani Abacha, a lot of the sympathizers and the sponsors of terrorism in the country would have long been executed. When you refer to the Muslims as martyrs in what sense? Unless they are fighting a jihad, what makes them martyrs? If a Muslim has an accident and dies on the way, is he a martyr? It's only when it involves a jihadist cause. So yes, there is a jihad that is going on, and I would say that one of the things I would advise the president to do, Nigerian president, frankly speaking, in the face of this, is to look beyond the foot soldiers in the forest. It is important to begin to arrest those who show sympathy to these killers. You can't have a scenario where you have armed groups that can kill hundreds of people, and then you still advocate sympathy for them and forget about the victims and continue claiming that there is peace. There is no peace anywhere. It is not as if Trump created the story from anywhere. We have lived this reality for over a decade and a half, where somebody just goes to a community and wipes out Christians. Boko Haram and all of these groups that people are lying that they are Fulani, they are not even Muslims, they don't know how to pray and all of that, they are Islamist groups. People understand what they do, why they attack, how they shout Allahu Akbar, how they...
Guys, I'm quickly going to take you through this headline on the Twitter space on the Tinubu's government might fall if it refuses to heed to Trump. Like I read in the beginning, it says our intervention may require dismantling Tinubu's government if it fails to act against Christian genocide. Mike Almond. So let's see how Nigerians are responding. Dismantling terrible APC. This person said dismantling terrible APC government is necessary, and if insurgency must be eradicated, because the true story of the beginning funding beneficiary of insecurity in Nigeria is 90% APC. And this person say a tale of two superpowers. Actually of one superpower and of super bully. This person say one country bombs you, the other country builds you. China Now, let me take this reaction again. It says, one country bombs you, the other country builds you. China invested over $21 billion in Nigeria 2025 construction deal, and a new $3.5 billion partnership for solar grid, rail modernization, industrial corridor. You think Trump really cares about Nigerian Christian? We don't need American money. Oh my God, we don't need American money, we just need peace in Nigeria. This other person here say, these fake Christians should not come and start a civil war. They eventually run away from, as usual, a lie they formed and believe. Okay, this headline here says 10,000 plus Christian Armenian massacred by Azerbaijan with help from Turkey, Russia, and Israel. And it says Artsakh, now occupied by Azerbaijan terrorist regime. 150,000 indigenous Armenians displaced from ancestral homeland, facilitated by United States, including President Trump, Secretary Pompeo, and the rest of them. Anyway, these are just reactions, Nigerians. This person say every card must be on the table. No more half measure or polite lies. If Tinubu's government won't stop the slaughter, dismantle their power, expose their crime, freeze their loot, and persecute the killers and patrons. Justice now. No, not excuse. No, not delay. That is what Nigerians are saying. I'm going to be reading more of these reactions. I'm going to be taking you through more of these reactions from Nigerians after Mike Almond says if Tinubu won't listen, his government will be dismantled. This person here says, please do whatever is necessary. We want peace in our country. They are not leaders, but crooks. Any leader that cannot die for those they are leading is not worth being a leader. That's what this person said. And another person here said, he swears to God, me, I don't swear. I will tag this gullible Nigerian supporting this after the consequence. America are doing this because Tinubu doesn't want to shake Washington's dirty and bloody hands. They will only replace him with a motherfucking American puppet. This person said this is a two-sided coin sort of problem for bad. The Tinubu's government thought it had gripped Nigeria 21st century political landscape by the jugular. It meant to enrich itself and impoverish Nigerians with the Financiers, the enemy without have seen this and came for his jugular. This other person here reacted and said, if dismantling this government will be the solution, so be it. When a government turns blind eyes to the slaughter of Christians, it forfeits its moral right to lead. No nation stands when injustice becomes policy. If Tinubu's government won't defend citizens, then history will defend itself by removing failed leadership. So a whole lot of reactions from Nigerians, and this person said, okay, do you also know that it means dismantling Nigeria together? Yoruba will exit Nigeria the following day if this happens. Hey, so this person is saying that it means that they are going to leave short, the country will be divided. This person says he didn't win the election anyways. It was a Christian who won it, but they rigged it. Shame. And this person said the only intervention is dismantling a rogue government with a stolen mandate and sanity. And sanity will be restored to Nigeria in 24 hours. And this person said that is the actual aim of all this conversation. So logical and predictable. He went America and spent 3 or more days. He came back. Genocide is buzzword because the environment is scary to him and thought to involve others to create chaos. Possible. I don't know. People are linking all this to Peter Obi, but initially, Boaladan is faulted would be for this. And later he said it's IPOB. Later they said some Nigerians in the diaspora are the ones pushing. And later Boaladan linked it to Shetima's speech at the UN. Just set of confused human beings. This person said that's like literally the best thing you can do for Nigerians. He's not fit to rule even cows. Hey, This person here said, if the government is deeply involved in the insecurity, why not? If the government is deeply involved in the insecurity, why not? Like Abacha rightly said, an insecurity that lasts for more than 24 hours, the government hand is in it. When Fulani terrorists entered Ghana, Ghana government gave them marching order. It's only in Nigeria we are romancing them, you know. And this person say, I swear, they will carry their matter to ICJ, the International Court of Justice. International Court of Justice, since US want to be the bully, they are bloody bastard and replace Patrick Lumumba with Mbuto, the Red Congo. And here they said that's a welcome development, and not only dismantling this government but also jailing him. The fool has caused the masses so much pain. This one said the solution is the only lasting solution to this problem. Dismantling Tinubu's government won't solve the issue entirely. What happened when Trump leaves? This person say it's harvest season, baby. APC must reap evil seed soon, like Isaac Newton said. Agaracha must come back. Please, Nigerians need urgent action. Human lives means nothing to our politicians. Do you do what you can do to save lives of ordinary Nigerians? Our politicians are the problem behind the insecurity because their families are in US, France, and other countries where it's safe. So guys, let me know your honest reaction to all this. You know, Nigerians reacting and telling Tinubu, telling the man who tweeted that come fast, we cannot afford this to continue. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Thank you.